it's clear that over the past 2 days, the presidency has disgraced South Africa on the global stage, and that this so-called peace mission has been utterly shambolic. Not only did the presidency lie about being unaware of missile strikes in Kiev while the so-called peace mission was in town, but the administration's sheer incompetence ended up causing a plane load of bodyguards, journalists, and apparently unauthorized weapons to be denied entry into Poland. So the DA is now submitting a series of urgent parliamentary questions. We want to understand the full cost to the people of South Africa of this utterly shambolic political stunt. We have requested the full flight manifest. We've also submitted questions to the presidency to obtain a detailed breakdown of the security detail that was accompanying the president. We know that there were more than 120 personnel on board that plane, 10 of whom were journalists. We also want to understand where the presidency stands on allegations that were leveled at the Polish authority by his head of presidential security, Wally Roda, on racism essentially leveled at the Polish authorities. Because from what we understand and what's been reported in the news, it seems that the plane, in fact, didn't have authorization to enter the airspace of various countries, and that we understand that various dangerous and undeclared weapons may have also been on board this aircraft. Mm-hmm. There are a number of questions around the involvement of certain international organizations in this, and I think that more will be communicated on that at a later point. The Polish authorities have told us via a media statement that, in fact, 3 meetings were held with the presidential's security operation teams ahead of the visit, and that all of the necessary requirements were communicated to the South African authorities. We know that the presidential security teams, in fact, didn't have the relevant permits on hand. But going to the heart of the mission, which is essentially the objective of Ramaphosa and a number of other African leaders to try and broker some sort of fragile peace in the region, yes. We know from Zelensky's comments that essentially they will not accept anything other than a full withdrawal of Russian troops and not the ceasefire or the cessation of hostilities that Ramaphosa has been calling for. We know that that Zelensky has essentially, at the press conference 2 days ago, dismissed many of the objectives that Ramaphosa tried to broker. And we know that in St. Petersburg yesterday, Putin also dismissed out of hand the objectives. So essentially, the mission has now been rejected by both Zelensky and Putin. Mm-hmm. And questions are now rising in the mainstream media about whether or not there is an involvement of certain Russian-aligned organizations in having initiated this. I think that ultimately what President Ramaphosa has done is he's presented nothing of concrete value in terms of mediating the crisis. And this has ultimately been a PR stunt.